Back again YouTube, and welcome back to another video. And in this morning's video is going to be nice and short, pretty simple. I just pretty much want to go back over what we've done so far and see if we could spot any visual type errors, so we can correct that, because in the next video after this one I actually want to go ahead and build out our application class. And this is going to be the class that takes in all the user configuration to set up our core framework. So that's pretty much what I want to do next, but I want to quickly just go through what we've done so far, see if we could spot any visual errors and fix them, then resubmit that back to GitHub, and we're going to crack on creating our application class in the next video. So just gonna quickly go through all the directories that we've been working in, see if we could spot anything. And the first directory is our base directory, and just want to quickly run through it. Let's close this down so we can get a bit more space. See if we could spot any spelling errors or anything like that jumps at me. All right, that looks fine. As I said, all these exceptions is going to be done in a separate video where I go through them and customize the message. So I haven't forgotten about that one. Open that up on our models. Let's just open the view as well. Close that down. So in our models, see what we've got. Got our constructor, taking in 2 arguments, checking that it's not empty, and we get in the repository. Cool. Base view. Getting all of our twig components, and you can see we've got an error right here, and this is because we've not yet created our own twig extension class, and that's something that we can just do that now actually, because it's just a class. This is our twig directory. We're going to create a file, call it twig extension dot PHP, and let's just write that out. Namespace, and it's going to be magma. I'll in that twig directory, call it twig extension. Let's see if that suppress that error. Where is it? Let's bring it in down here. So use magma twig extension, and that's taking care of that. Hopefully not. twig extension, and that's because we actually need to bring in some twig component to make our twig extension work. And I think the tool that we need to bring in, we need to extend abstract extension, which is there, and you can see that it brought it in as well. And we need to implement that global interface, which is right there. So we got the abstract extension and we're implementing that global interface. So what we're saying right here. So again, this shows error because we've not implemented the methods that's in the interface, but we're not going to be doing that in this video. We just want to sort of like get this file ready, and you can see it's taking care of that error because we've brought in our extension file, which is extending the correct twig component and implementing the correct twig interface. So that's taking care of that. Just going to move on quickly. So let's close that. Or database connection. Open both of them. Got interface, tool methods, which we're doing right here, and they look fine. Again, when we come to do our exception properly, we're going to be doing that in a separate video. We're going to be fixing these up, so we won't be having any issues with them. And got our flash messaging, and that's the types. This is the 4 common types. Obviously we could add more in the future if we want. That looks cool. Let's close that down. Got interface, takes 2 methods, and we sort of like define the default type right here as well. And that looks fine. Define a key. Again, we're using our global manager to get access to our session. We don't have to, but this is how I'm implementing it within this Flash component. That looks fine. We've got the right namespace. Cool. Moving on. Got our global manager. Again, interface, 2 methods. And they're both static. And both static again. Cool. They're fine as well. And what else did we do? We did these 2 classes in some of the last videos that we did. I think it was yesterday where we did these wrapper classes. And again, the external library is not in our control, so we created a wrapper class to contain that in one place. And that's for the response handler and the request handler. They're fine. I won't go through our entire liquid ORM because we've pretty much let's just quickly go through them. Actually, let's open the data mapper class up. Got our interface, got all these methods, factory, and again we've also created our YAML parser. So when we sort of like come to build our application class, we're going to be coming back to these and actually laying them out properly, putting in the right config files, so we reference in the right arrays in that config. But again, we're going to be fixing this up in about 2 videos from now once we build our application class. And that looks fine. Data mapper environment, and this method right here is credential valid. I need to call it up here actually as well. That needs to be called right there, so we're checking that the credentials are valid before we execute any code, and it actually requires that driver argument as well. So I'm going to pass that in, and that should take care of that. Yep. So moving on, data mapper. Again, this is just the implementations of the interface methods. Again, we can only look at these. We won't really get much from these because we need to like physically test them. So that's why I'm not trying to get too much into the ORM bit, because that needs to be tested for us to see any sort of errors. I'm just trying to find small visual errors at the moment. And session, I think I had something in here that I needed to modify. And if I take you back to the session interface, this flush method needed to have the value, the second argument, set to null. Right? Because if you notice, if I take you back to the flash message where we're using that flush method, we've not set a second argument, and that would have resulted in an error instantly. So we caught that one. We've set the value to null, so it's optional, we don't have to set it. I'll need to do the same in the actual class that implements these methods, which is going to be the session class. So we're going to flush, and we're going to say equal null, right? That's something I spot off screen actually, so I wanted to go through it with you guys so you can see what I'm doing. That's fine. I said we just did our twig and error handler. This is the next class that we did yesterday, that we implemented yesterday. And already I can spot a couple of errors already. And I got geg, whatever that is. That's meant to be get trace as string. See, I spotted that one instantly as I opened it. We've got it spelled properly down at the bottom down here, so that's fine. Yep, that's fine. And the next class that we created yesterday was this YAML parser. File exists, throw exception, config path. And right away I've actually noticed something in here that I might have done which doesn't look entirely correct. You see, we're passing in the YAML file straight into the parse file, which I don't think is right. I think we need to pass this file in. If we get an error, we're going to come back and fix that, but I think that's actually what needs to be passed in, because we're expecting just a string like database, and it wants to go and find that database configuration, but at the minute we're passing in database and then database here. It doesn't know where that file is, so I don't think that was right. So I think we need to put that file in this. Again, we're going to be testing that pretty soon, so not to worry, but all else looks fine. So that was it for this video. I just want to go in and get some visual checks to see if there's any errors. We did spot a couple. There was a few that I spotted off screen, but I wanted to sort of like go through it with you guys so you can see what I'm doing. Well, I said that's going to be it for this video. The next video is going to be our application class that we're going to be creating. So stay tuned for that video because it's coming up pretty soon. Thanks. Bye.